Hey, what's up, gentlemen and ladies? Welcome back to another Final Fantasy discussion, and today I'm going to be talking about the story of FF15, giving gameplay a little bit of a break since I already talked about that enough during my last couple of videos, but today's topic has to do with the characters of Final Fantasy 15, and more specifically, the villains of the game. Now, so far we've seen quite a large list of villains for 15, but one of the questions on everybody's mind is which one of them is going to be the final boss per se. So just to recap, so far the confirmed villains that we have are Glauca, Idolus, Arania, Ravus, Versteel, and Arden. And this is not counting on some kind of twist where like Luna betrays you or Gentiana, as is a popular theory, especially considering how she was on the villains side of the E3 2013 collage along with Stella, but that's besides the point. While we know the basic roles of each of these characters, we're not really sure on which ones of them are really going to be important in the game itself, but they are worth discussing. So let's start off with Glauca. Now, Glauca is actually a big contender for being at least one of the main bad guys in FF15. The only thing that, in my opinion, kind of breaks his chances in a way is the fact that he was basically the main villain of Kingsglaive, and I doubt that they'll want to reuse him for the final game. Even so, I think that Glauca of all of them is probably the strongest, and I wouldn't be surprised if we got to fight him several times throughout the game. The main party also has a personal score to settle with him, as he is the killer of both Noctis and Gladio's dads, Regis and Claris, so that gives them more of a reason to want to kill him than really any of the other villains, but he's more of just a tank that is used by the Empire, so I doubt that he'll have much relevance in the grand scheme of the game, just, you know, kind of a major obstacle for Noctis to face. Idolus, on the other hand, is a little more important. He's actually the Emperor of Niflheim, although his role in terms of power was pretty much reduced to that of the equivalent of the Queen from the United Kingdom, just, you know, there for kind of ceremonial purposes and not really much else. He is, however, the one that actually turns on Regis during the signing ceremony in Insomnia and pulls a gun on him, so clearly he's not afraid of getting his hands dirty, but I doubt that he's the type to go after you and fight you. He'll probably spend the majority of his time in the Niflheim capital. If I had to guess, he will probably be one of the last fights in the game, but I don't think that he'll be the actual final boss. I can't really picture him being all of that FF15 leads up to in the end. That is, of course, unless they pull some kind of ultimate form or something like that. It is also worth pointing out that his name, Idolus, comes from the Greek word Eidolon, which, as we all know, is the name of the summons in the Fabula Nova Crystallis, so maybe Idolus will be some kind of grand summoner, and all of the bosses that we've seen against things like Leviathan, for example, will be because of him. As for Arania, she pretty much just seems to be like the spy of Niflheim, or, you know, kind of the one that's always following the party and that we'll get to fight several times throughout the game. The first time that we ever saw her was during the 2011 trailer while the invasion was going on. However, she was nowhere to be seen in Kingsglaive. The only times that we've seen her since have been in her own Niflheim base, as she is a commander of a group of Magitech soldiers. So hopefully she's not just an area boss that you fight when you sneak into that one base and that's it, because they have been making a pretty big deal out of her, and it would be disappointing if that's all that she did, but I guess we'll see in the final game. Ravus, now we're talking. I think that Ravus is actually one of the ones that has the highest chances of being the final boss of Final Fantasy 15. Not only is there that theory going around that after he gets burned by Regis' ring, he eventually turns into Diablos from the opening cutscene of 15, but he was also pretty much the first villain that we ever saw for Versus 13. If you guys recall, in the second trailer for the game back in 2009, I believe, we saw Stella at a party with Noctis, and later the two were outside fighting each other, but while this was going on, Ravus was sneaking into the castle and attempted to steal the crystal straight up. Now, obviously this part isn't in the game anymore, but the fact that he was planned since way back then gets me thinking. Luna would also have a thing against him since, well, he is her brother who kind of kept her locked up in the Tenebrae castle after Niflheim invaded them. He also hates Regis, and by proxy Noctis, with a passion, as he wasn't able to protect his country and mother from the Niflheim invaders, so he did the logical thing and became a commander for the Empire. Well, you know what they say, if you can't beat him, join him. Ravus perfectly embodies that quote. As for Versteel, honestly, we haven't seen too much of him yet. The only real in-game shot that we have of him is him walking towards the castle with a bunch of Magitech troops, presumably during the invasion, which makes sense since he's actually the creator of said troops. He designed them, so presumably he will be their commander throughout the game, although we're not too sure if he can do much of anything once he doesn't have them, so I'm not going to spend too much time on him since I personally doubt it. And the one that in my opinion has the biggest chance of being the main villain of Final Fantasy 15 Arden. We all know Arden. He is the Kefka of Final Fantasy XV, and his actual role is the Chancellor of the Niflheim Empire. In other words, the actual leader who makes all of the decisions. It was probably his idea to invade Lucis and kill Regis. He was there during the invasion, and he's been seen trying to trick the party. During the Gamescom footage, if you guys recall, we do see him try to get Noct and the gang to come with him, playing it off as if everything's cool, keeping in mind that this is at most a day after he just completely destroyed Noct's hometown and everything and everyone that he ever loved along with it. You know he's not up to any good. My only problem, which is the same that kind of applies to the majority of the villains in this game, is that we've never seen him fight. I honestly can't even picture him fighting, at least not with that over-designed Roberto Ferrari outfit that he's got going on. If you were to be the final boss in some way, I'd picture it more like him inside some kind of mech that Noct has to fight. That could work, and it could also fit because just about everything bad that Niflheim did can be traced back to him. Like we see him messing around with the king's throne after he's killed, leading us to believe that all he wanted was to take control over the kingdom, and with the crystal's magic, who knows what he's capable of. Hopefully the party can handle it. So which one of these villains do you think will be the main baddie of FF15? Do you even think that it will be any of these, or do you have your own theory? Be sure to let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, since the characters of FF15 are honestly one of my favorite things about the game. But I guess either way, that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to blitz that like button, subscribe as always. Stay tuned for all things Final Fantasy!